Today, we talk about...
This is a mysterious review, ladies and gentlemen. The most mysterious review we have ever done. And I say that 100%. We are delving into new territory here.
Hello, everyone. This is Running on Empty Food Review. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. This is Running on Empty Food Review. And if you're wondering if this is a unique episode...
I think I've been saying that in nearly every video that I've been doing, but this truly is a unique one.
Now, for those of you that want to skip ahead right to the review, please click over to this part of the video. And for the rest of you, I'm sure you're wondering, why do you sound different? Why are you in a different setting? And why are you dressed in a trimmer outfit than usual? Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching, the answer is simple. I have an alter ego that I am being played by right now. And it's a sort of respect I'm paying to the original Report of the Week. And I figured for this special occasion, I'll put on a trim outfit suit, and I will review some of the hot sauces that I received. Now, of late, there's been this popular show on YouTube, and I'm sure some of you out there have seen it, and others of you probably haven't seen it yet, but I'm telling it to you now, so maybe if you want to check it out from my description, you can. But it's a fascinating show. There's this wonderful host, Sean Evans, and he brings on guests, and they eat various hot sauces in varying degrees of heat. And they have a great old time, and everyone laughs and cries and feels pain. And it's sort of a refreshing take on a talk show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've watched every episode. But it inspired me to want to try some of those sauces. So I went to the Heatonist website, and I found some that I thought I might enjoy, and I figured I would do a review. So I decided that I would try this with this tuna fish. And as you can see there, it's really tuna. And, you know, you may be wondering, well, ReviewBrah, why didn't you just go to Long John Silver's, since you love Taco Bell so much? And while that's true, I wanted to try a little bit something different for this episode, similar to how I decided to dress a little different for this episode, and sound a little different as well. But in all seriousness, I think you would all enjoy if I proceeded on to the review. So let's do just that. So in this first box, as you can see, it's from Heatonist, and as you open it, if I can get it open, you see this lovely display with a hashtag Stay Spicy, as well as this little sticker with their little logo, I suppose. I'm not really too familiar with them, but I hear a lot of great things through this wonderful new program of Hot Ones. And so you constantly hear the guests on that show rave about this particular sauce, and so I decided to double up on them, as the cool kids say. And before I show it to you, I might as well take this opportunity to explain my display. Some people may look at this and wonder if this is a subtle flex, as the youth are describing these days. And it is in a way, because it's a packaging box for a piece of art, in my opinion, a lovely belt which I purchased from this brand of Off-White, and it This box, to me, is very nice to look at, if I can say that. And you could see this lovely crosswalk pattern, which has become synonymous with Virgil Abloh's brand of Off-White, which is what this is here. And I decided that it works as such a lovely display piece, since he's making furniture with IKEA, that I may start to use some of his own unpurposed boxes for said purchase. Excuse me, for said purpose. Sorry if I misspoke there. That's really what I meant to say. Now, I've decided to use this display to go through these hot sauces with you, so let's continue to do that. This is the Hot One sauce, and if you've watched the show, you notice that they actually all seem to enjoy this one, and it's made by them, and apparently it's very delicious yet spicy, so I can't wait to try this. Now, they put 2 of them in here, and they're very nice bottles, I have to say. It reads, "A Heatonist exclusive. First We Feast presents Hot Ones, Homeboy's Fiery Chipotle." And I'll read the About section. It says, "On First We Feast's Hot Ones, host Sean Evans uses spicy wings as a truth serum to get the realest answers from his celeb guests. When it came time to craft the perfect turning point sauce, a balance of smoky chipotle flavor and serious heat from habaneros and ghost peppers, the right folks for the job were clear. Chili Wizard Homeboy's Hot Sauce and hot sauce purveyor Heatonist. Slather it on chicken, pizza, or anything else that needs a kick. Just don't try to control your tongue." It's a very interesting description, and it comes in this lovely packaging. You can see, if I put the sauces over here for a moment, in the box they include this stuffing to keep the glass from breaking during its transportation to you, and it's made of this lovely, fluffy, raggedy paper, which sort of reminds me of pirate paper for some reason. Not that I've ever been a pirate or met a pirate, not that I've seen any pirate paper up close, but when you see certain movies that feature pirates, I feel like this is something along that theme that you would see. Just an observation I had. You don't need to agree with it. You certainly can disagree with it, but it's simply my observation, and I'll leave it at that. Now, we'll put that aside for the moment, and I'd like to show you some of the other sauces I received from them. And it came in this slightly bigger package, which I'll show you right now. Now, this all came together, but in 2 separate packages. And this one also features that Stay Spicy hashtag, but also includes a few extra goodies. For example, here's a letter from the Heatonist and Hot Ones folks that's signed by the very own Sean Evans. And I'll leave that for a moment. We'll come back to that later. But I just want to show you this fantastic display of hot sauces that they include. For example, one of the ones that caught my eye on their website, and I figured I must try, is this NYC hot sauce that says hot, rough and tumble, sexy, handcrafted in NYC, the greatest city on the planet. Post no bills. Johnny B, the hot sauce king of NYC. Satisfy your craving for handcrafted habanero hot sauce. Very interesting. And I'd like to read the ingredients if I can. Habanero peppers, carrots, water, onions, bell peppers, celery, key lime juice, vinegar, garlic, and salt. A very interesting combination. And if I may, I'll leave that to the side for a moment and pull out this next one. Sorry about that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. If you're just tuning in, this is the Report of the Week, and this is a hot sauce review. Now, this next hot sauce I found very interesting for a lot of different reasons, and I'll explain them to you right now. For example, it had this twine that came attached to the bottle, which I found to be very interesting for a boutique hot sauce, if I may call it that. And it also has this sort of waxed on cap, if you will, that I found very interesting. Now, on this one, it's called Dawson's Hot Sauce, established in 2013. Sauce Picante? Piquant? I'm not sure of the correct pronunciation, but please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. This is the original hot. And this reads, ingredients: habanero, vinegar, brown sugar, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, and sea salt. Very interesting. On a heat meter, it rates this as an 8 out of 10. Looking forward to giving this a try. Now, the good news is this box also featured that Parody type packing paper, and the sauces, thankfully, are still intact. And this final bottle, maybe the most precious of the bottles, is in fact the First We Feast Presents Hot Ones, The Last Dab. Similar to the fiery Chipotle, they made this second sauce, although I'm not sure if they have other sauces, but this is certainly the second that I'm featuring today. This is their hottest sauce, which they feature at the end of all their classic Hot Ones episodes. And I decided, why not? Let's give it a chance. So we'll put that aside as well for the time being. Now, I'll organize the tuna and the sauces appropriately so that we may proceed with the review. Be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. This is Running on Empty Food Review. I'm your host, Report of the Week, coming back to you in my alter ego on this channel. And I've decided again to be unique, just like most of my other videos, and review these wonderful hot sauces in this wonderful tuna fish. And we'll just see how they go. So first, we'll use the Hot One's own fiery Chipotle. It's supposed to be a very delicious sauce. Whew. And it smells very rich in flavors. I would say fiery Chipotle is spot on. You can definitely smell the peppers coming through. And seems to be a very heavy tomato base, which I'm not surprised by, given that it's of a tomato-ish color. But let's go ahead and plop some on my spoon here. Well, actually, I'll save the spoon for the tuna. And as I pour it out here and make a little bit of a mess, please forgive me, folks, and everyone watching. Let me put this to the side here. I'm only going to start with a little bit. I think you can always add more, you can't take back. So with that said, I'll try a little bit, hopefully keep my composure, since I've never tried them before. I don't know how hot they actually are, compared to other more basic sauces you may find more commonly around your local supermarket, perhaps, such as sriracha sauce, or even Frank's Hot Sauce, which are wonderful sauces. I love those sauces. I think they're wonderful hot sauce toppings. But I think trying some of these other sauces may be something a little bit daunting, at least according to some of the guests on the show that they feature these sauces on. And so I'll start small and see how it goes. So let me grab a little bit of this tuna here. Excuse me. And I'll simply put the sauce, surround the tuna so it takes up that flavor. And I should have brought a second utensil, but I didn't. So if you folks and everyone watching can hold on for a minute, I'll be right back. Hello everyone, and everyone watching. This is Report of the Week, Food Review. Now, I finally have my fork here, and it's given some time for the tuna to sink into the sauce, so let's see what we have. You can definitely feel the burn right away. I would say this is a very potent sauce, and the taste is very juicy and splendid, but it's definitely kicking you in the face. It's almost a wonderful pain, if I can describe it as such. So, on a scale of 1 to 11, I would give this a 9. Now, I'm going to set this aside. That really is a delicious sauce. I'm wondering if there's a comparable sauce I can think of to compare it to, but truth be told, I'm not the biggest hot sauce connoisseur, or as the chicken connoisseur would say, but I'm no connoisseur, boy. Sorry about that. Sometimes my alter ego gets the better of me, and I haven't shown that side of me very often on this channel. But something told me it would happen today. Now, moving on to the next sauce. This is the NYC Hot Sauce. Let's see how it smells. So this one has a cap on it, which I can't say you can give it a pro or con based on having a cap or not. I certainly won't take any points off or reward points for not having a cap with an extra step, but something the folks at home should note in case they seem to have a particular preference for it. And that little taste, I don't think that was genuinely enough of a hit, if I may call it such, to really judge the sauce, which is good. I didn't want to wait. I did want to wait until I covered it with some tuna, but as a smell test, it actually smells very, very similar to the fiery Chipotle from Hot Ones. So let's pour a little bit in a different corner here. Yeah, I would say this also seems to be of a tomato base. And I'll leave it here so I can display which sauce I'm currently reviewing in case you want to fast forward. And let me just grab another piece of tuna. I'm trying to get about the same size. Not that I think it's totally necessary. You can do whatever you wish whenever you're doing a taste test, but keep some of those factors in mind in case you didn't do a fair review. because ultimately you're just searching for the truth in terms of how you feel about different sauces. But in any event, I digress. Let's smother this little piece of tuna in hot sauce. And I have to tell you, one of my friends, Billy in fact, he turned me on to putting tuna into hot sauce. And it changed my life, frankly. I wasn't really a big hot sauce fan prior to this. I had tried it on some sushi, which also I had tried very late in the game. I was a very late bloomer to sushi. And it was really a matter of trying it on some spicy tuna sushi that my friend had gotten for a party he was having. And I'm not so sure that he would want me to share his name on here, so I'll keep it to myself. But, you know, he introduced me to that concept of not only sushi, but hot sauce. So when I went off to make my own sushi, which turned out just fine for something I had never made before, but I will never make again because it was a lot of work, to be frank. But in any event, I had some leftover sriracha sauce from that tuna making expedition I had, and so I decided to start putting it on things, and I found it quite enjoyable. Excuse me. And so I started to explore a little bit with the hot sauce, and my friend Billy actually told me about the concept of adding it to my tuna, and I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that kind of opened my eyes to trying different hot sauces and different flavors and different heat levels, and here we are, in fact. So, with that said, I think I've let this soak long enough. Let's give it a shot for the review. This one, also quite a tasty hot sauce, but I would say it doesn't punch you in the face the way the Hot Ones Fiery Chipotle does, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think if you have more of a mild acquired taste for hot sauce, this may be more in your lane. I would put this more along the side of the spectrum of sriracha compared to some of these more menacing, high-grade, high Scoville unit sauces. But I would definitely say yes, this NYC sauce, tasty, but not as hot as the Hot One sauce. Now, as for a total score, on a scale of 1 to 11, I will give this a 6. And I know some of you may be thinking, well, why only a 6? That seems like a very poor score. But let me put it in perspective. I think if I were to tell you I could give you $11, US dollars in fact, and let's say I could give you $11, but I decide to give you only $6. Well, on the one hand, you may look at that and say, well, he could have given me $11 and he only gave me $6, and that makes me angry. But I would look at it more as though I had nothing, and all of a sudden I have $6. And it may just be me, but $6 sounds better than nothing. So I think if you approach it that way, you can understand why I gave this a 6. It's by no means a bad sauce. You know, even if you were to think 50-50, you know, it could go one way or the other, but you can't really decide. That doesn't mean it's a bad sauce. But for it to be above 50%, as this is with a score of a 6, I would say it should err on the side of you trying the sauce and seeing if you like it for yourself. And I certainly did, but nothing memorable, I think, is the bottom line I want to portray with this sauce. So moving on to the next sauce, I'll put this one back in the storage unit it came in, which again is quite lovely. We'll move on to the Dawson sauce. So with the Dawson sauce, has got a lovely ring to it if you're a poet of some sort, and feel free to incorporate it into your poetry if you in fact are watching this and are a poet. But that could also go for the rest of you, and ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. So let's see how we get this cap open, because it seems to me it may be a little bit more of a challenge, but I take that back. It just seems that this wax surrounding the cap simply just needs a little bit extra force, but then it comes right off. And it's a screw cap, so it'll go right back on, which is delightful. But to return to the sauce, let's give it the sniff test. Well, I can already tell this is probably going to be significantly hotter than the other two sauces we've tried so far. But I do want to take a moment before this potentially overtakes me to explain to you how much I love the presentation of this bottle. I think looks to some extent are important because this is how you set a first impression. And I think for a boutique, small market, not super produced hot sauce, sorry, that was my other alter ego. In any event, this presentation of this sauce is quite lovely, I would say, with the twine and the wax-covered label and the little flecks of the peppers you still see in the sauce, along with a nice, rich texture of different colors, all kind of mixed and mashed together to showcase less of a sauce, I guess, and more of a puree. And maybe, in fact, that's what this picante means, which, you know, if you all have the patience, I'm going to actually look that up right now and see what it means, if it has any particular meaning. And it seems it's a spicy French brown sauce made from shallot, white wine, vinegar, gherkins, herbs, and also called sauce picante. Well, I hope I'm producing that right, and if I'm not, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. Excuse me. But let's get right into the sauce. So I'll put a little dab on this, yet again, opposite end of the square plate. And I'm not going to go too overboard because, like I said, I am a little worried about the taste here. And I've put a little bit on my finger to try, just to kind of test out. Oh my gosh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching, this is about to get for real. Just that little bit, you know, just the tip was just enough to tell me that this is going to not be a pleasant experience whatsoever, but probably more on the side of that pleasurable pain I was describing with the original Hot One sauce. But nevertheless, we should give it its fair shot. We've come all this way, after all. So I'll put the tuna down, and I'll start to spread it in some of the sauce, which I don't want to get too carried away because, after all, I do have my worries as to this sauce and its potential effect on me. And I will say, it seems to not hold on the tuna as well as the other sauces did, and maybe that is because it's a picante sauce. Perhaps. I'd never heard of it until I just obtained this. But I would say if you're going to use it on particular foods, you may want to use it on foods where you're placing it on top of said food and not so much mixing it in after the fact before the meal. But again, who am I to tell you how to eat your food? But now, back to the review. So we'll take this little bit of this Dawson sauce that's covered this tuna now for a little bit, and wish me the best of luck, folks, and everyone watching. Well, I'm handling this much better than I expected, and I suspect part of that may be because I just had a feeling and a slight suspicion that the olive oil surrounding the tuna may in fact have been inhibiting the effect of the sauce. And I only say that because I had in fact experienced, as you saw on camera, what the sauce tastes like on its own, and it was much hotter with that little speck compared to what I just consumed with the tuna. So I can only suspect that that was because the oil helped me tremendously this time around. But just to have a little reminder, I will take a little bit of this leftover sauce and try it myself. Well, maybe it was just an initial shock, because even this tastes not mild, but certainly not as hot as I was expecting a whole load in my mouth to taste.
Pause. You know what a pause is?
Yes, pause not.
Now, with that said, as far as a total score, I would definitely give this a 9 out of 11. Certainly. And so, that will be that. Which brings us to our final sauce for this review. And this is the Hot Ones, the last dab. And so we shall be reviewing this, but I figure I'll separate it out into a separate video. And that way, we can concentrate on that and give it the time it deserves, since it's supposedly the hottest sauce of them all here. And with that said, this has been Running on Empty Food Review. I'm your host, Report of the Week. Goodbye, everyone, and ladies and gentlemen, and everyone watching. This has been a food review. We'll see you on the next one. We out. Peace.